I am so excited. You've seen the thumbnail. You know what we're doing. We're going back into the costumes. This time and oh my gosh, I didn't think actually going into this that we would have a lot to say, but I mean, we're all Nynaeve lovers in this, what would I call us in a chat the other day? The costume crew. We all love Nynaeve. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff in her costume. So yeah, once again, I am joined by Pez, the esteemed costume expert, who, as I mentioned before, but in case you don't know, she famously watched all of season 1 without having read the books, but she studied costume design in school. It is part of her job. She knows about stuff and was able to predict things from the Wheel of Time books, much later in the story, based on things that were hidden in the costumes in season 1. Now, she's read all of the books now, so she can't do that, but she still has a lot of insights, and it's really cool. She also pointed out something that made me feel really dumb. I saw it in her notes before we recorded this video, but it was just one of those moments of, how did I miss that? I'm curious to know if you caught that. And also, as well, we are joined by Bree, who is the best-selling sci-fi fantasy author, or I should say, she's one half of the best-selling sci-fi fantasy author duo known as Kit Rocha. Their recent release, sorry, I know it has a name. It is called Consort of Fire in my brain because this is what we call it when we're talking to each other. It's the horny dragon book because there's a dragon and he's a little bit horny. so is everybody in this book. It's a very grown-up book. Lots of fun. I highly recommend it. So you should check that out. But yeah, so it's the three of us talking about the costumes and implications for the story. And the spoiler warning in this video goes all the way to the very end of the Wheel of Time book series. So if you have not finished the series, this is not a safe video for you to watch. Sorry. But if you have, let's get into it.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
Welcome back. I'm so excited, and I love your new what do you call it? Your new fit, Bree.
I'm ready to be tested. To seek to strive.
Yes, you want to. To seek to strive is to know danger. You probably shouldn't do that.
Not sure I want danger, but you know.
Yeah, that is inherent in the whole process. So
I got these very nice ladies behind me. They seem chill. Absolutely not suspicious in any way.
No. Oh my gosh, on both of your shoulders too. Look at that.
Wow, it's like the Wheel of Time version of the little cartoon devil and angel.
Yeah, except that's Shiriam and that's Leandrin. I'll put a spoiler warning on this, but that is both. I'm not seeing an angel here. I had a plan for us to do a different person, but the arches have inspired us to begin with my girl. And I'm going to be pointing out something here I saw in your notes, Pez, when we get to it, that I felt so stupid when I read your notes that I had not noticed this. When we get to that point, but I was just like, oh my God, I'm an idiot.
I'm very curious to find out what that is.
Yes, we'll get there. You can see she's got a big old belt and nobody else does.
And her hair is different too.
Yeah. I don't know that the hair, I can see the clothing being a uniform. I can't necessarily see the hair being maybe I'm wrong, but
almost all of the novices I think that we saw were wearing their hair partially pulled back and down.
And down.
Otherwise.
Okay, I'll keep an eye up.
Couple maybe, I think there's one that has curly hair in Shiriam's office. But otherwise, they kind of all have a uniform hairstyle.
This could be a personal thing for me. Nynaeve being, I've talked about this at great length, but Zoe's complexion is very similar to mine. Her hair is different. She's got 4C. I've got a 4, maybe a 3C. That's hair texture talk. But it's one of the things where you go into places where they have no, this is the hairstyle. And every Black person goes, what? No, yes. You can't make a uniform hairstyle. That's just not okay.
No. Yeah. So. I think in this case, they were doing it on purpose to make Nynaeve look other compared to the other novices. I think they were just being judicious in their use of wigs. But yeah, in In real hair, no, it would not work that way.
No, no, you can't do it. But like, yeah, she does stand out here just because of she's the only one with this and with the big belt.
Thematically, she's tied up. She's tight, bound, like the hair, and everybody else is sort of free flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. This is not the thing that I felt stupid about, and yet I was also stupid in that I didn't quite pay attention, like notice. Yeah, why is she still wearing her wisdom belt? Like she shouldn't be. She's a novice, but she completely is. Like,
who's going to tell her
like,
no?
She's wearing it over. Exactly, she's wearing it over her apron.
Yeah, and it's a different wisdom belt than the one that she had in season 1. So that's a kind of normal thing with costumes. You don't want everybody to remain completely static and unchanged from the previous season, with certain exceptions, like with Matt. And that was done for several reasons, both in world and in real world. But I felt like Nynaeve was feeling like she couldn't wear the wisdom belt that was specific to the two rivers. The belt that she wore in season 1, I thought I was completely inventing this and just talking out my own butt when I said that it was the belt was the rivers, and then there was like a behind the scenes video in season 1 where they're like, "Oh, the belt is the rivers," and I'm like, "Well, okay then."
Your butt is very, very smart.
Apparently, it had a moment.
Yeah.
So I felt like thematically, in terms of the character and her development, she's not feeling like she can say, "I'm the wisdom of the two rivers" anymore. She had to let go of that belt because she's struggling to let go of the two rivers and to acknowledge that she left that life behind, right? Like she's moved on from it, even if she hasn't moved on from it. But she
Right.
can't let go of being a wisdom. And so she has to have that belt
Like a generic, yeah.
to anchor her to that position, and the braid to anchor her to the two rivers.
Right. See, I would have assumed it was just a case of, oh, we're updating the costumes because we got more money. But that is a nice, like a nice.
I mean, it's
I don't know what to
both,
call it.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then again,
Like,
she's tied in tight. She is restrained.
mhm.
She's definitely got a lot of bound up and not really loose and free, because she's got this terrible tension inside of her.
Yeah, like I'm just her getting ready in the morning. She puts the apron on and then puts the belt on, like to make sure that it's visible. Because like,
Yep.
logically, you would put the belt underneath the apron. Like
You
the
would,
apron
unless
goes
the
on
reason you're
last.
wearing it is to be seen wearing it.
Exactly.
And I think that's the other thing, like the belt and the braid are also her oppositional contrarian, I'm not in this for the authoritarian wisdom of the Aes Sedai thing too, right? It's multiple things. I think
the scene.
oh gosh, that scene, that's so oh, that was so convincing, like in an unpleasant way.
Very much so.
Props to the props people. Jeez. The thing I like about the novice dresses, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I like that they're all equal. Nynaeve's novice dress, other than the belt, is no different than Egwene's, is no different than Elaine's, is no different than this unknown blonde girl next to her.
I have decided that's Elsie Grinwell. That's my decision.
It has a name, I think. I can't remember what it is now.
Do not take away my head.
Okay.
Although Elsie in the books has brown hair, but in my mind she doesn't.
No,
yeah.
Elsie in the books was given big blonde farm girl energy. I don't know. I just
yeah. She
I
definitely
agree
does.
with that right there. I really do love that belt. It's interesting.
Yeah. Like it's a wrap. I don't think it's like a
No, it's wrapped around her like either more than once, or there's like a centerpiece that wraps back around. I can't quite tell.
Yeah. Like it could be made to look like a wrap, but it doesn't look like it's just like a one-time and clasp thing.
Right. It looks complicated.
Also, most of our Aes Sedai wear things like that. Like she's halfway to the authoritative queer suspenders.
She fully is. That was another thing. Yeah, I was thinking, like, is this meant to mirror that? Yeah, that sort of, what do you call that? Bodice thingy that Leandrin wears? And then
I love that cloak. Oh my god.
Yes.
Bring back capes. Come on.
Mm. It's really cool, but I also like the way that it kind of hides you. Like you can't even
So
see that she's got art. Like it's yeah.
I think it's interesting that it conceals the arms. The other thing that stands out to me, and this is kind of a side note, but in costume design and costume construction, so design and construction are totally different.
Okay.
I do a little bit of both, but I'm more design side than construction side. The construction side, like they do their thing, we do ours. But from when I've made similar things, like it's been a long time, but that would be very heavy because
Yeah.
all of the weight is onto the sides. And I don't think
Hmm.
it's cut out like that in the back. So it might be more evenly distributed in the back, but
Hmm.
that forces a certain posture
It
and it
would,
keeps her
wouldn't it?
arms concealed. And so if she's doing
Mm.
a weave or something, you can't tell.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Because yeah, her hand. Yeah, the heavy fabric would hide the movement. And okay, they're just the again because of her belt. You're not. But if you just had like 20 novices wearing these capes, it would just look like ghosts. Like
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah,
Or like, well, like nuns.
yeah. That's the other way. But nuns, it's usually black and white. Like, but it has
It
that same
depends on
feeling.
the
You're right.
order, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At least in the medieval period. I don't know anything about the modern period.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is what I mean. Like,
Yep.
it's the similar
Yeah, and
whatever this thing is.
it's one of the design parallels I think that they're trying to use to help us visually bridge the gap between Leandrin and Nynaeve in this season, just like the little hints
Mhm.
of yellow in
Yeah.
Leandrin's costume. We see some similar proportions on Nynaeve and Leandrin in terms of
Mhm.
like the long garment, the waist emphasis, and things like that.
And I feel like it just tells you the story, even if you're not thinking about it. Nynaeve does not fit
Yeah.
in with the other novices. She is closer,
To
to the sort of person who is in charge than
yeah.
the person who needs to be building character. She has
Well, and
enough character.
it makes her look susceptible. It makes her look like maybe she's open
Mhm.
to an alternative path to power.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Aes Sedai are just so set in their ways, and that now I do think Nynaeve is being like as much as I love her, she can be quite stubborn and unreasonable. But like most of their students would be teenagers, and she's an adult, and you don't approach those like you don't to treat an adult like a teenager. It's not going to. I don't think most people would receive that well. And
No.
if you happen to be a Nynaeve, you're absolutely not going to receive that well. Leandrin, for all that she is the only one who's treating her like an adult here. And it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
she has gone from a nightmare position where the people who she
Hmm.
is meant to be in charge of refuse to respect her position because of her age. And
Yep.
then she's been put into a
Yep.
place where she is being forced to like live that out without the power. It is,
Without, yeah. It's a
yeah,
nightmare.
like,
Yeah.
okay, now you don't have the power anymore. We're just going to make you a teenager again.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not
It's just,
really the best way.
it really is not. All right. So here it is without the apron and without the cloak.
And it's an interesting look too because in my opinion it's so stripped of national identifiers.
Hmm.
We've talked before about how like the sitters in season 1 they had national identities that we could visually see even if we couldn't necessarily identify them without looking into all sorts of background materials and stuff. But you could tell, hey, these are maybe from the same place. You
Yeah.
can't do that with the novices. It's really taken them out of their identities, with the exception of Nynaeve.
Yeah. Who's like wearing, yeah.
Yeah,
And
she's
it's very, very
resisting their
intentional.
attempts to strip her of all identity and like sort of, that's the
Hmm.
basic of I guess pounding them back into blank slates of clay to mold them.
Yeah.
I do
Yes.
like that there's still, like, despite the fact that they've tried to anonymize the novices to a point,
Hmm.
there's still hints of some of the modern fashion sensibilities that we see out in the world.
Right.
Like the sleeve shape a little bit reminds me of young
Mm.
Moiraine. And then a
Yeah.
little bit of
Yeah.
what we see with the sleeves in Kyrian, but not completely.
I do, like, I wonder if they have things where they like update the uniforms every couple of years. Like,
I would think they would, but they
mm,
may not realize that they're doing it. Like, that's to
yeah.
me, a funny thing about fashion is even when we think we're being true to a past era, we usually have
Hmm.
updated it to some degree to modern sensibilities. So I
Yeah.
think that's probably happened here.
Yeah, I don't notice, like, when I notice that is because I go the opposite, like in future things. If you see like sci-fi when they from the 80s and they do future, it looks completely different from sci-fi from the 90s and they do future, and completely different from sci-fi from the 2000s when they do future. Like you
Yeah,
always get some of that.
trying to predict the future is literally the hardest thing in fashion
Oh,
because
it
fashion
totally
is
is. Yeah.
so responsive to current events and it's always hilarious. If you ever really
Yeah.
want to have like a good laugh, look for what Victorians thought we would be wearing today. It's
Oh my
hysterical.
gosh, I remember when you shared that. It was the funniest thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
I do appreciate that they kind of give us a glimpse here of there's something in the belt. There's a pattern to the
Hmm.
belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't quite make out what it is, but there's
I
definitely
mean,
a pattern there.
it's like a flower and hearts or something. And
I
yeah, it
thought
definitely
maybe
is
it
a
was like
wrap.
for
Yeah.
thistles, but I'm
Mm,
not sure if it is.
it could be. Yeah.
I should add a disclaimer. I'm terrible at identifying plants until they've been processed into fibers for textiles. So,
That is not how most people identify plants. And there you go. There you are, Bree. There's your
Yep.
outfit.
Just mine doesn't have quite
Yeah.
that
and I
pretty
do
little
love,
decoration
yeah,
there at the
it's
Yeah.
just
top.
a delicate strip of decoration. And I love that because it just gives us a hint that maybe Nynaeve's not as prickly on the inside as she is on the outside.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I said this in my reaction to the episode, and I'm sure you both said it, but thank you, show, for not making this just a random nude scene in the middle of the show. Like,
Oh my God.
it gives the same feeling of going in unclothed. Like, just I don't know if every culture has this, but we absolutely have this in the West, where you're in your underwear, you feel naked. Put me in a
Yeah.
bathing suit and I feel clothed, but in my underwear, I feel naked.
And I
And
think the little delicate band there at the top of her
mhm,
shift
I like
really
this one here.
helps
Yeah.
add to her vulnerability. Like it's just this soft personal detail that up until this point it's not something she would have shared with most of the characters we've met. Certainly not with anybody but
Mhm.
maybe Egwene and Lan
Yeah, yeah.
in very different contexts.
Yeah.
Um
Yes, yes.
from unless you're a fanfic writer, more power to you, but it just makes
Not
her
it,
softer and more vulnerable in this moment and she really is vulnerable and I just love that it's not naked vulnerability.
mhm, yeah.
We're full spoilers, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
I really appreciate that this isn't the Council of the Tit Flop moment.
Ah.
Oh, good Lord.
Sorry.
I that is
I have no
now its
filter.
official name. It's its official name now. Also, Pez, you have just broken my brain. It's like I don't want to yuck anybody's yum or anything, but the idea that there probably is somewhere some Nynaeve Egwene fanfic.
I trust fanfic writers to come up with every possible ship, every probable ship,
Wow.
and all of the improbable ones.
Like I have to like I as completely fully on the Kinsey scale lesbian as I am, I never in my like no Nynaeve Lan. That is just like they are locked in, and I cannot move from that. But it is impossible. Wow. Oh my
You
I'm
weren't
really
gosh.
even
good
a
at breaking people's
little
hold on
feeling the
reality.
Leandrin vibes this season, Denny. I mean,
I
Leandrin literally said the same thing to Nynaeve that my freaking horny dragon said to his heroine. They were playing that romance up.
okay. I Kate Fleetwood could have chemistry with a fucking rock, so I can see it. But no, and even Lan are just so locked in my
I
memory.
know.
I have to like okay, not my memory, like in my soul. When I'm talking like with my sister, for example, who is going through the book for the first time, the amount of times I have to remind myself that she doesn't know for sure if they are together for the rest of the book because I like in my mind it's just no, it's
It's
like
written in
that's like
stone.
it's written in stone. Water is wet, Nynaeve and land. Like that's the way that is. So
She also doesn't know yet that Robert Jordan's rule is if you trip over someone or bump them or touch your
mhm.
lips to them, then you have to marry them. The first person you
Yeah,
bump elbows
that's
with,
the
that's you gotta marry.
that's
So
it. So, yeah,
Leandrin and
most of
Nynaeve
the
are
time it
like in your
irritates me.
poster together behind you.
I know, but still. Oh, you broke my brain a bit. Okay, back to
That is one of
reality.
my skills.
Yes. Uh, okay.
Okay, yeah, let's
And
get into the rings, the first arch, because man, I
the
want to
first
talk to you
arch,
about this Pez.
the line, like the way this fits her. Granted, it's a shift, so obviously, but it reminds me of the way her first dress fits her, and I was very proud of myself because I called that from
Mhm.
like when that shot was in the trailer or whatever it was. I was like, that's her as a child because she
Yeah,
looks like
that's
a
Yeah,
child.
exactly what I
and
want to talk about. Look,
it's
like
also very 1920s, like this tubular silhouette that kind of flattens all the curves, which is an
Yeah,
interesting thing with
yeah.
all of the Aes Sedai being so 1930s this season.
Mm,
yeah, this dress right here, like we saw, was it this the first picture? It was something very
That
like
one,
that
it
we
was something
saw in the
similar to this.
trailer. And I was
yes, yeah.
everybody like, how do we all immediately look at this and go, she is a kid? Like, because there's
Yeah.
The
something
Like
about
smoking.
the way that costume is so brilliant. It just screams that she's a
mhm,
child. So like,
It's the
yeah,
waistline and the smocking, 100%.
yeah. The smocking. Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
way it,
because
yeah.
that's not an outfit. Okay, I shouldn't say that's not an outfit we put on grown adults because grown adults wear things, but most of the time when we evoke this particular silhouette, we are evoking a small child and not an adult.
Hmm.
Is it
Yeah. The
because
way
the
it fits.
like
Yeah.
the thing is like above the breasts or like what? Like the
Yeah, that it gives us the idea of childhood by basically removing the concept of the chest as a bodily feature.
Mm,
We do this a lot on little kids.
yeah.
Part of it is because their bodies are proportioned differently than adults because they're not there yet. But with little kids, a lot of times we give them this very, very artificially high waist that is basically
Mm,
across the chest. And this is especially true in binary gender clothing stuff for little girls.
right. Right.
Explicitly for little girls. It's like the pinafore apron, it's the play dress. It also allows a lot of freedom of movement, frankly, and we can see that here in this other
Yeah.
picture where we see baby Nynaeve with her father. But the way she's carrying herself, the way her hair is down, the lines of the dress, the way she's able to move in it, it all evokes kid instantly.
Hmm.
it's amazing. Like the costume work just I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know what it's doing to me, but it's just delivering that message on a gut
It's
level.
it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And I like these details as well. This reminds me of her
Yeah.
jacket from
So
season one.
the interesting thing with these,
Hmm.
we see these throughout her time in the arches. We don't ever
Really?
see this exact motif on her. We don't ever see this exact motif on her out of the arches. We just see the thistles, I think. But here
Hmm.
we've got thistles and birds or something, right? Like
Yeah, it does look like that. Yeah.
that looks like a bird to me. There's different flowers. I'm not sure if it's like I said, I'm really bad at plants.
Mm,
It may just be a leaf or something, but we start to see her with just those thistles, and maybe it's a coneflower or something. I don't know. I'm
mm.
calling it thistles. But these will show up again on her coat in the arches.
Right,
Oh,
right. Because yeah, that her
yeah.
coat definitely had the thistles, I think. Yeah.
And the
Hmm.
embroidery is much more colorful than what she has in world reality.
Right. That's true. Yeah. The colors are more saturated. Just
hmm
yeah. Like, oh, there they are. Oh, I don't want to look at that anymore.
Oh,
Sorry.
and notice that both of her parents are wearing red.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, this
Like,
maroon color palette, I
hmm
find it interesting that like this is also what Egwene was wearing when she was fake, and it is what Perrin
mm,
is wearing
Yep.
In fake,
in
yeah.
yeah, because I remember when we saw a parent in that color in the trailer, I was like, that looks like what Egwene was wearing in the fake flashback. And then I was like, and he's got wooden
It's a
toggles.
dream
Oh
color.
no.
I didn't notice the wooden toggles at all, but yeah.
I only did
Don't worry,
because
we'll get to
Pez
him.
keeps talking about the metal, and I was like,
Yes.
why doesn't he have metal this
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Well, I noticed them like when you brought them up to me a while back, but I didn't notice them when I first watched it.
Yeah, this is when she's
Yeah.
back in the Two Rivers.
Mhm.
Now, is this
So
the
this is her
same
outfit.
outfit she wore in
time.
season 1? It looks like it to me, kind
Yes.
of.
Mostly is, but the wisdom
Mhm.
belt is gone.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, and
It's just
I was
the
gonna,
skirt and the shirt.
yeah, and I was gonna mention this before, but like her kid dress plaid, and then here
Mhm.
she's got
The
the
plaid.
subtle plaid in
Yep.
Yeah.
her skirt
The
there.
Two
Yeah,
Rivers.
And Natty is wearing a belt, but
I
it
was
doesn't
about to
appear to
put,
be the wisdom's
yeah.
belt. It's not the one that
Hmm.
that Nynaeve had in season 1.
These sleeves are the opposite, like literally the opposite of Moraine's, where they're like cinched
Mhm.
sleeves. These are like bell sleeves cinched up at the bicep.
Yeah, and I think maybe don't quote me on this. Well, you're going to
Mm.
quote me on this. We're on a video, but I think it's possible that those sleeves might lace all the way down if she needs them to be tighter to her arm. I'm
Yeah,
not sure, and I think they might have been tighter to her arm in season 1.
yeah, that would make sense for
But
medical
we
practice.
see
But
her a
yeah,
lot in a coat in season 1, so I'm just not sure off the top of my head. Yeah, now I think that
Mhm.
embroidery was there in season 1. I don't think that's an addition.
Mhm.
What's on her
But I'm not
belt?
100%.
I don't know. Is it a belt?
I think it is a belt that's holding the skirt up potentially, or else
But
maybe
it's a
it's like
lot
a
thinner.
waistband that has a pattern
Hmm.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could just be a patterned waistband. I can't quite tell.
And
Ugh, do not burden us with them.
the only people who say this are Sheriam and Leandrin. Like they're the ones who will say, like, your grief is your own or your fears are your own. Do not burden us with them. And it makes me like it feeds into that theory that it was Ishi who screwed up the White Tower by putting the
Mm-hmm.
Black Aja in there to make them into what they are. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Black Azure is like, don't share your trauma. No, we are not here to support you. Like,
Honestly, though, that's terrible strategy. The Black Ops just
Mm.
want to know everything you're afraid of every single woman,
they
so
should.
that they can exploit it later.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I feel like it's just as easily reasonable that it grew out of what must the first couple of generations to go through the arches have experienced. It would have been the breaking, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Their past would have been the breaking, and they would have been coming out traumatized, recounting the failures of their current
Mhm.
mentors. The people who have put them through the arches are the people who put them
Yeah,
through that past, through their failure.
yeah. That is
So
very
I could just as easily
probable.
see it be like, we really just don't want to talk about it.
Oh, it just
That
seems
is
like
entirely
perfectly
true.
logical to me. This is a breaking factory. Their literal point is to
Yeah.
emotionally break these people, and if you're
Yeah.
not strong enough to put up with the garbage and not complain, then you need to get washed out.
Yeah.
That's
And
their goal. So
I just think it's interesting that the
yeah,
only two people like
no,
we don't hear
you're
it from
right.
Liana, we don't hear it from Baron, like we hear it
Mhm.
from Leandrin and we hear it from Sheriam. And Sheriam is like your grief is your own. Like
Yeah.
it's don't share anything. Like we do that ourselves. Like we are isolated. So
It also
yeah.
really, I think, strongly evokes I may be completely off here, and please feel free to cut this from the video, but um I thought I read some behind the scenes stuff that they were treating this like a miscarriage story.
Oh, they
They did.
were.
They were. Yeah. And
And
it like that
that
yeah.
ties into so many of the aspects of dialogue between generations. Don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very meant to parallel that, which is
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
And powerful. So
So
much
I try
red.
so much red. Still with the belt.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to I get it
It's
clear? Like
authoritative, though.
I don't think we ever get a clear view of her in this. Like, it's
yeah,
just a
No.
jumbled.
a jumbled mess here. Her braid, like she doesn't have one braid. She's got like the multiples, they're down.
Yeah.
So I think
And
the
I thought that
clearest
was
I get.
interesting too, because the only other time we've seen her with her hair exactly like that was when
Mm-hmm.
she did the power healing thing with Logain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we get the feeling that she's lost control of herself and done a power explosion, even though we never saw it. I think it's a different belt. It looks like it's a different shape to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be.
It is
does look
what
like
a
it's
color,
a red
though. Like, it
stone.
is so intense a red. I love it.
Yeah, it really is. That's a red stone
Yeah,
for sure.
it's definitely a red
Yeah.
stone.
Like, this is very, very intentional and very, very specific. I've been trying to figure out why they chose here for the blood wounds. Like the third arch coming out, the blood wound makes perfect sense to me. This one, like, it's so specific, and I don't know what it's supposed to be implying.
I think it's implying that she's killed her children because she killed Lan.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
I mean,
That could work.
that's a
Yeah.
really dark interpretation, but it's that, or
It's
she
not
had
meant to
so
be
much.
light.
It's that, or she had so much blood on her hands that like she touched
She
her
wiped it
torso,
off.
and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, she's covered in Lan's blood at this point. That's the
Yeah.
assumption, right?
That is the assumption that I made, but I just was constantly like, what? It's so specific, and I don't know. I couldn't figure out what message I was supposed to be taking away from it.
That's
So,
what I took away from it, but I mean, that's informed by what we see later, right?
yeah, there's
Oh,
these arches, man. That's his trauma factory.
No, this is a new
Yes.
coat, isn't it?
It is.
Because I
It
don't
is.
and this
recognize
is
that
where the
hood.
embroidery comes back in.
Yeah. This is why I like the new coat that she has and the incredibly clean and perfect
Mhm.
fabric that he has here. Now, I was right, but not right in the way that I thought I was, where I assumed that this was going to be the third arch from the books, where it was just in the kingdom of Malkir. Like when they showed this in the trailer, I was like,
Sure.
I don't know this coat. This is way too fancy. So that's what I thought. Yeah.
I think we have
So-
to start calling the Aes Sedai like immaculate clothing weave, driest Sedai, because they've gone to dry
Ooh.
cleaner. So yeah, it's here on her
There's-
sleeves. See how it's the same
Oh,
embroidery
yeah.
that she had as a little girl, but with color filled in.
Oh. So like, yeah. This
And
is
the
Super
inside of her
subtle.
hood has got that blue that like Lan.
Just gonna point out I have one of these because
Ooh.
yeah,
Oh, I
Trian,
remember
who
you
is,
mentioning
like,
that.
yeah, Trian makes like leatherwork. Trian is a Wheel of Time fan who does amazing leatherwork, and for one of the prizes from Wheel of Time Idol, like What Idol, I got this, and I occasionally put it on just for no reason. Just
I
like
would
I have a
too.
leather bracer.
I mean, that's not no reason. That's an epic reason.
It's an epic reason. It's fantastic. This is the shot from the
Oh.
trailer. I was just like, yes, this is obviously she's the queen of Malkir here. That's obviously what this is.
I
And
love
was
the
wrong.
embroidery. Like it's so pretty.
It's so beautiful.
That looks like a iris almost, I think.
It does. It looks like
Yeah.
different forms of iris. And again, I don't know anything really about plants unless somebody tells me. So
Yeah.
tell us how we're wrong, YouTube commenters.
Please. No, YouTube commenters never do that. They never just leave a comment, you're wrong about this, and then nope out of there. That never happens.
And see, then it shows up again. See this colorful
Mhm.
embroidery here along her neckline.
Yeah.
It's much more colorful than what we've seen her in before.
Mhm.
It's different. She's still got the hints of red. She's got the pink at the cuffs and the pink at the neck.
Oh, I didn't even notice
Yeah,
that.
I did too. The
Yeah.
salmon, maroon and salmon, man. I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
so suspicious
Anything that's
of
in
them.
the red family, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. That's the whole thing. And yeah, like that, it was in this episode that the red is dead. Like red is
Yep.
danger.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is a different belt going
And
on
that's
here
a
too.
plaid background there on that belt. And a little bit of plaid
Yeah.
on the skirt as well. So we're getting the Two Rivers vibe there. And then also the way that that jacket wraps and closes is reminiscent of how we saw the closure on some of the shirts for the boys in season 1.
Yes. Yes. And this style of collar still to me, and now I know it's not the only culture that does that, but it does evoke the way a Korean hanbok closes, which
Absolutely.
is what which is what Lan's costume is modeled after. And so I can see some of that as well. Like she's adopted some of him into her culture here. In this,
100%.
it makes so much more sense to me that this would be her dream, like than in the books where she wants to be the queen of Malkier. Like
This is
yeah, it's
Yeah. This is what she wants.
yeah. This is the life she wants. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. This
And you can
detail
kind of
here.
see when you're zoomed in here that there's a beautiful, delicate print on the edging fabric as well.
Yeah. Oh, this is lovely. And it is like delicate is the word. Like this is to me what this like the feeling I'm getting from looking at this is lovingly made. Like so it took time. This is she's settled here with this.
the thistles have bloomed.
Mm-hmm.
The cracks are in the wall and the thistles have bloomed.
Oh, cracks in the
That
walls.
face.
In her novice white.
No, she's in the accepted now.
It's accepted, sorry, I should say.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
And the accepted
this is the
dress
accepted
seems like
dress.
a little it's definitely less tied up. It's, you know, it's got a different collar. It's got the little hole at the front. Like, what is that, a keyhole or something, Bez?
There we
Yeah.
go.
It was a very long keyhole.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I love that it's now this keyhole neckline, so we get the feeling that maybe she's been a little bit liberated. She's got some freedom now that she didn't have before.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a different fabric too.
It
Like,
is. It's a much nicer
Okay.
fabric. It shows up better. If you have the photo of her when Egwene comes in, you can kind of see the contrast when they're like close, I think.
I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah, see
there's
how
a lot of
there's like all
fabric and
these
they're
nubby
so
bits.
tiny.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
what
a
a
much
great
finer
shot of
fabric.
the rainbow there.
Yes.
I love that. So
Yeah,
much.
that's what I was trying to
Right.
get. Yeah.
And I can't tell
Yeah.
if they did like printed and painted color over white embroidery or how they did that, but I just know I love it and it's beautiful.
It is fantastically done. Like this is like they say bands of color, so I'm assuming in the books it's meant to be stripes. And there's also in the books meant to be stripes down here.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
I'm glad that they didn't do that because I think that would have looked
And in season
weird.
1, there's like a
Mhm.
2-second glimpse where you can see a single accepted out on the streets during Loghain's parade thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did have the bands of color there, but I think this is a better choice personally.
Me too.
I know it's a departure from the books and that sometimes that can be hard. Change is always hard, but I like that it's got the colors bleeding into one another instead of the evenly defined bands, because being an accepted is about, okay, you've made it this far, now we're going to really find out where do you fit, which of these ajas, if any, do you belong with,
to?
and you explore all of that. And so I appreciate that it's not quite so clearly delineated.
Yeah. And like also they get to use the flame of Torvalen as a shape. Like
yes,
so cool.
It's very cool.
This is the other reason why I think though that they didn't go for bands is for shots like this. Like it would be really weird if there was just suddenly like a band of color just like here in the shot at the bottom. You would have to frame things so carefully to either get all the bands or cut off all the bands.
It's a great design conceit for in a written world. It's not as great a design conceit for, it's not even a visual medium. It's specifically the visual medium that is cinematography, right? You would have to have all these wide shots just to even get a glimpse, whereas this gives us something. And it's also going to be like a super arresting burst of color if she touches her face or if she touches another person's face, stuff like that, which happens in intense emotional moments, right? Or when she's healing. So I'm all for it personally.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent choice. Just as like it as you said, like a super. If you accidentally catch a bright stripe of color on the bottom, it pulls your eye away from where you want your eye. And then look, new cloak.
And that's a very nicely made, very fitted cloak too. Like that didn't come out of the novice closet of creaky cloaks.
And okay, I want to go back. Sorry, I'm just going to go back and look at the novice one. After all, I may have taken a lot of screenshots of Nynaeve. I don't know. You might have.
A little.
1 or 2 or 70.
Holy crap! I'm still going. Okay, this one is something you have to put on over your head, which again feels like infantilizing. Like that's whereas the going back forward through all of these shots. Almost, maybe. Yeah, are we almost there? There we go. This has a clasp.
You could have just gone to the next one.
Yeah. I could have
gone to the next one, Jenny.
Amazing.
I'm not cutting that out. I'm leaving that in.
Yes, you left it.
No notes. Amazing.
Shot was a better shot of it, but yes.
Yes.
This one has a clasp. But you're right. I could have just gone here.
Yes.
I didn't know what the next shot was. But it's cool. I
Beautiful.
like this cloak too. This is a cloak I would wear. I don't know if I would wear the one that you have to put on over your head. Because again, like that just
I would wear everything.
I mean,
every cape.
I would
capes.
wear it. It's not like I would. It's not like I would refuse. But
Also,
if you
give
gave
me
me a
lanterns,
choice,
we should be carrying lanterns around melodramatically. Just this whole look. Yes, please.
I'm scared of the fire, but yes.
LED lantern?
Yes, I will do an LED lantern. Just having almost burnt down my home one time with fire, I am a little alarmed by it.
That's fair.
But yes.
That's totally fair.
Again, they're seeing differences here. These ones are way more enclosed, the novice one. Whereas this one has like an opening for this is like the Landfear one. It's got the
armholes.
Well, and you would want that, right? Because with an accepted, you want to prioritize their freedom of motion. They have the freedom to leave the tower, but they also have the freedom to like channel without having to ask for a teacher's note, right?
Yes.
So it makes sense they need to have the freedom to move their arms. From what we've seen in World, that's an important aspect.
Yes. Pez, you are very, very smart. So just say that. Yeah.
Also, it makes it easier to tie up your novice when you kidnap them.
Absolutely.
Accepted.
You're accepted. Don't take away her rank.
Her hard-earned rank.
Beautiful.
Yes. Okay. So this Toman head pattern that we're seeing here.
Literally those flowers that we saw in the sitters last season.
Yeah. Exactly.
And her blanket.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Like a carpet that they've picked up off the floor, possibly a blanket. Okay. This is the thing that I felt stupid about that you were asking me about. I didn't notice that she ripped off this part.
Oh, yeah, she ripped off her cuffs so that you don't see the rainbow marks on them.
Which is completely smart. I somehow didn't notice it until I read your notes.
I don't think I noticed it the first time I watched. I think it was like the second time. Because I got so absorbed in what was going on.
Yeah. I may have watched these episodes more than that and still didn't notice it until I saw your notes and was
I didn't notice it either. Nice catch.
Yeah.
That's the only identifiable.
To obscure her identity because she kind of had to.
She had to, like, and Elaine doesn't have to do that because hers are just white.
Right.
See? So yeah.
Yep.
So completely
and
different.
That was
and like
why I caught it because Elaine didn't.
Yeah, and like she's opened up the keyhole and everything, so she looks more like
ordinary.
More ordinary than Elaine even. I mean, Elaine's posture even is more, I am the daughter.
Well, of course she is.
Of course. I'm Elaine Dracan, daughter of Andor. Let me tell everyone.
Yes, your name sings in her ears.
That was now get up. That's like one of my favorite lines.
It was great.
How did I miss this? Like, I can't unsee it now. Just raggedy ends of these shirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I was like,
wow, I just totally
Jenny,
missed it.
How did I miss it? So just opening that up changes the shape of the dress as well.
Yeah.
And it makes it more like some of the silhouettes that we've seen on necklines on Swan, actually.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, my poor babies.
Oh, this scene is so hard.
I've cried every time I've watched this, and wildly, like when I've edited videos about it, I've cried because I
I
can't.
don't know how you don't.
It is one of the best scenes I've ever seen, and absolutely brutal to watch. So now they are just
They have
trying
found
to
new
fit in
clothing.
as Toman head. Yes, thank goodness.
They found an adult.
They found yes.
Oh, look at the little flowers and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got like flower
Oh.
embroidery and Nynaeve. Like
Yeah,
flower
the flowers
lace.
are the big Toman head thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, these petals and flowers.
And I love that
This
Nynaeve ends up in this like green jacket because it
Mhm.
harkens back to the green being her color from all the
Yeah.
way back in the Two Rivers.
This shape reminds me of that shape that Leandrin has. But it's just a
Yeah.
good shape.
And
Yeah.
I've also seen a bunch of people who've been asking me to talk about Elaine who are like, is this her Disney princess look? And I mean, yeah.
You know what? I just
It could be
noticed.
like a
She's in the fantasy colors, the dream world color. She's got that salmon in
Yeah.
the hands, but she's gonna do her little Ariel moment, but she's like, because I just connected that because Rand looks at her the first time like she is not of this
Yep.
world.
Yeah, he does. It's like
And it's the only time she's just Elaine.
bird. Yes, exactly. That's true. She doesn't say, I'm Elaine, daughter of Andor. She doesn't say that. It's
I'm Elaine.
Elaine. Yes.
I think she only says Elaine. I think
Yeah.
She didn't even say I'm. Yeah. Now that you said it, Disney princess, I want like a cartoon bird to come and land on her shoulder.
Oh yeah.
So,
Singing mice, the whole 9 yards. So then we get
it's
into her cosplay era.
I'm not okay with how hot she is right now.
I didn't even notice it until my sister pointed it out because I just like I think I said this to you before, Bree, where my brain was just like in the book of Nynaeve hated this, and so I couldn't see past that, but it does look good.
Listen, like that was a bomb ass line in the book. I'll make you regret the first kiss your father ever gave your mother. And the way she delivered it, wearing this,
she delivered it.
I was like, hurt me. I don't know what's happening.
It is unfortunately the moment for me that the show is the clearest on Robert Jordan's vision for the origin of the term Damani.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
It is.
Yeah. Like
it is. Oh
yeah.
Unfortunately hot. I'm not liking it, but it's just the Nynaeve of it all. Because she's coming in to kill them all.
This scene, I don't think I have a picture of it, but there's a moment before this where like Elaine comes and brushes away her eyeshadow.
Oh yeah,
and
like she fixes the smudgies.
Yes. If you watch my sister and me reaction, my sister's like, so are those two going to be a thing? It's like,
that was another moment hilarious.
Kind of.
That was another moment. I bet you someone has done that too.
Oh,
no, my sister doesn't know. No. I don't know why. Every other character, I'm like, I'm open. No, we do not deviate from Nynaeve and Lan. But yes.
I'm just saying, Zoe with the black eyeshadow, it's a look.
It's a good look.
She can
it's
goth
a good look.
So good.
Oh, goth Nynaeve.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, we're full spoilers, right?
Right.
Yeah, full spoilers.
The Forsaken Nynaeve in like the final battle.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We met a little taste of her. I hope some version of that gets into the show because Zoe will eat it up.
She will eat it up. Oh.
Okay, we're not going to discuss this whole thing. Nope. This didn't happen. Moving on.
I do appreciate, speaking of Nynaeve and her Soldom look, I do appreciate that she stuck to just the one braid. Like, they got the whole costume right, her and Elaine, except the braid part.
No.
And I love that because it shows that they're trying, but they're not, like, super perfect, right? They're not really ready to be out in the world alone. But it also helps us as an audience distinguish her easily
from everybody
else.
Yeah. I can almost see it being a case of they didn't put together, like they didn't maybe notice that was the uniform. Like they're like, okay, well, we put these clothes on. This is the make. Like if you are an outsider looking in on something, you might not notice all the details that are important.
Right.
So I could see that being a case of just like, I've got a braid, they have braids. It's in the Two Rivers, everybody has braids. They're just different braids. What are you talking about? Like,
Exactly.
I like how she's gotten a little messy over
Yeah.
time. She
Just
hasn't,
a little frizz.
yeah,
Elaine
this is
too.
like, but like the
They
braids,
look
just because,
worn, both of them.
as someone who has like braid, like this is how it looks
Yes.
here. This is a couple of a bit later, like it's the same day.
Yeah.
They're coming
Well,
out.
and they're out in the heat and humidity, right? Like we're on the
Yep.
shore of the ocean.
Yes. Sorry, every couple of like in the summer, Korea gets really, really humid, and every other day or so, did you get a haircut? No, it's just really humid. You don't understand how curly hair works.
Nynaeve,
Bye,
you were
indeed.
epic this season. For
Truly
a season
was.
where she had to spend most of it in White Tower defined clothing, she still managed to bring some moments.
She did.
She
for
absolutely
sure.
did. She absolutely did. Yes. So there you have it. Nynaeve's costumes. Did you catch it? Did you catch that Nynaeve had like ripped off the bands from her costumes on her arms when she was in Falma? Did you catch it? Because I did it. The minute it's pointed out to you, you can't help but see it. Like she looks like a pauper, especially next to Elaine, who always, even like when her clothes are dirty, she has the aura of somebody who knows how to hold herself, who has been raised with a certain level of status. And there was something I actually noticed when I was editing that scene when they're holding hands in episode 6, because of the fact that Nynaeve has ripped off her sleeves. There's just like in that shot, it's very visual of their different status in life, like the way they are, and the fact that the sleeves that Elaine has do remind me of Moraine. Also, like, sort of evokes a bit of that in there. It's just, there's so many good things in these costumes. I love it. Did you notice it? What was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I do have a Patreon that is also linked in the description below. To my patrons, it's so much love for you. I'm still trying to do that heart thing and I can't do it. But I love you so, so much. Thank you so much for your continued support for me. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.